Hello, J Funk here once again. This time we're looking at the next boss we tested, Heroic Soul Hunters. This is the optional Demon Hunter boss. It's three bosses, two of which are tanked. Alyssa Dark Sorrow and Valerian Bloodwrath are Vengeance and Havoc Demon Hunters respectively, and they have to be tanked. The third one is a Void Demon Hunter, and he kind of just does whatever he wants. He's not tanked. Uh, so there's a lot to unpack here. Each boss has their own set of mechanics, and I think the vibe that I got from this fight was kind of like Council of Dreams is from Amirjasil, in terms of like how the boss moves and how the mechanics are kind of happening. Each one of the bosses has like an ultimate. They cast Metamorphosis, and they have a special thing that they do during that. They also have their own set of mechanics. So you're gonna see here, the Havoc Lady has the Hunt. She'll target a player, and then that player will have a line in between them and her, and you need to soak the line because it does huge split damage. But if you're inside the line, it'll cleave. So you need to spread within the line, but also soak it as well. These green lines are the blade dance effect that she has. Just move out of those lines. The Void guy is just constantly jumping around, and he's putting poop on the ground. And you're gonna see like right now, two people in our raid group have this debuff. The debuff allows you to run into the puddle and soak it and diminish it and like just get rid of it. But then you'll see the debuff right next to that one. It's very small. The boss will constantly cast Consume, which will increase the healing and absorb that they take or something. So you can't have that many stacks. I think we determined in our testing that around 10 stacks is about the limit for most people. And then Alyssa Dark Sorrow is going to cast Fracture on the tank, and that'll spawn two soul fragments right here that you need to soak because the tank takes less healing per soul fragment. And Heroic there was two, and you'd have different people soak each one because it applies a dot. And the tank can't soak their own. But yeah, as soon as the boss moved, we would just as melee move together, and people soak stuff. And the magic debuff that I mentioned earlier from the Void guy, when you dispel it, it goes to the nearest player. So you just have it's like range mechanic. The range just get that mechanic, and they just soak the puddles and do that. Here's the Void guy's ultimate. The ultimates happened in a set order, so it's always Void guy, and then Havoc, and then Vengeance was last. But the Void guy is here. It's kind of like Farak, where he gets in the middle. He has a suck. You can't touch in the middle. But then he has these balls around here that are coming in. And you need to soak each of these, because if they get into the middle, it'll explode. But each one that you pick up applies a dot, a stacking dot, so you can't take too many. Yeah, pretty easy. And then oh, by the way, during that, he takes full damage, and the one guy is in the air. And I noticed there's a Windwalker monk. You can cleave Emperor's Capacitor Lightning onto them, and I think Ignite was cleaving onto that guy, so it's two target during that. But then once those are over, it goes back to the phase one we just had. So he does Void Step, and he just runs away. Also, one thing, I want to go back to the beginning of the poll real quick. So where are we at? We're at 241. Beginning of the poll, let's see. I want to show something real quick. So how you get the first magic debuffs is the boss will cast Devourer's Ire here, which spawns these soak puddles. And then the range that you're assigned to this will just stand in those soak puddles to get the magic effect. I think I would mention that. So 241. 241. That's close enough. But then again, it's just rinse and repeat from this point. She's going to cast Vengeful Retreat and then cast the Hunt. You just need to soak this. We weren't sure how the best way to deal with this. You can immune this. There's no punishment for not immuning it. Our pally did not immune it and died. I'm not sure how you'll deal with this because I mean, if that happens and she runs away, then it's kind of hard for melee to soak it without also hitting the boss. But then putting it in melee is kind of weird because then it's gonna cleave like crazy. So this might just be a range fight. I'm not really sure. Alyssa, the Havoc Demon Hunter's tank mechanic is an eye beam thing that you can swap off of. Again, these mechanics, each boss has mechanics, and they're not super complicated, but I thought upon reading the journal that maybe they layer on top of each other in a way that's really hard. But honestly, this fight for an optional boss seemed very straightforward, at least on Heroic. Very straightforward and pretty easy. And we kind of killed it before the last intermission. The intermissions happen at 100 energy, respectively, for all guys. And there's no overlaps like Council of Dreams. It's just that one does it, and that's it. So this one, it's the Havoc one. This is Kaiveza, the Kaiveza intermission, where it just has blazes. That's it. There's just blazes. Just move along your line. This is the blaze part of the fight. And it's pretty straightforward. It's just, yeah. to full damage. And they don't do any other mechanics during this part, so it's pretty easy. You also can like clear the puddles and stuff. I almost died there, but I'm probably fine. We ended up killing it here, so you don't get to see more mechanics. It goes back into phase 1. But we did see the Vengeance Intermission a few times when we were progging. So this is the Vengeance Intermission, right at the end. I'm dead, but you'll have to see what happens. She basically, it's like the second boss in Intermission, where she just leaps around. She's gonna leap here. It's just like at set locations, it seems like. It's not towards players or whatever. She leaps. You don't want to be in that circle. You don't want to be in that circle because you'll get knocked back and then take damage. Then she'll face one direction and do a frontal, and you just move on to that. And then she does that like 5 times. And that's it. That's the whole intermission. That's it. You might get closed in with space with the puddles, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Overall, I think the fight is pretty cool, and it seems like a mythic. It might be sick, but I don't know how much I'm into it. I just, as a Windwalker, this fight is kind of poop for you, but also I'm just like, I don't know. It seemed like there was going to be more going on. Also, I want to mention before I end this video, they all only died at the same time. You see that one of them died, and they all each spawn their soul crystal, which pulses damage. It's kind of awkward. Because they all have the same HP, and one leaps around, so the cleave's not going to be even. But that's going to wrap up this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.